Hi everyone, Tom here from the Diabetes Chat team. Tonight on Diabetes Chat, we are joined by Lurina from South Africa, and she'll be talking about her own lived experience of living with type 1 and her diagnosis story. We'll also be talking about peer support, education, and all the amazing things that she's doing to raise awareness for diabetes. She will be showing around her interactive game called Quackers, and you can follow Lurina on her social medias, The Glucose Glitch, on Instagram and YouTube. Lurina, welcome to Diabetes Chat. It's lovely to have you here tonight. How are you? And it's Diabetes Awareness Month. What a fantastic month to have you as a guest speaker, raising awareness for diabetes. How are you?
Hi, Tom. I'm very well. Thank you for having me, and I'm very excited about this session.
Brilliant. So, what does Diabetes Awareness Month mean for you? Diabetes Day on the 14th of November. But what does this month mean to you?
It's a loaded question because there's so much we can do, but in a nutshell, basically, it's coming together, whether it is to crush stigma or to raise awareness or do some education or just to uplift one another. It's the perfect time. It's like a birthday month that we get to celebrate all month long, and we can do it in an inspiring and a motivational way. So to me, it's all about building.
No, that's great. And tonight we're here and you're going to share a little bit about your journey living with type 1 diabetes and all the amazing advocacy work. But to kick us off, we've got some quick fire questions. And I got my little phone here with some questions. This is just to get to know you a little bit and for the community to
Okay.
get to know you. So when were you diagnosed and how old were you?
I was 16. It was the year 2000.
What diabetes tech do you use?
I have the Freestyle Libre sensor. It's over here. How can I show it? And then I only have my insulin pens, and that's as techy as it gets.
Fantastic. What's your go-to hypo treatment?
Ooh, definitely my juice box always right next to me.
Fantastic. What do you think's worse for you, Lorena? Do you think it's feeling hypo or feeling hyper? I know that's a silly
Mm,
question, but it'd be interesting to see what you think. Because we know both has
yeah,
massive impact. But what's worse for you, would you say?
depends on what I'm doing and where I'm at in my day, but high gets me more frustrated. I'm okay with coping with the low, but high, I'm not enjoying the damage that it's doing to my body over the long run. So if I must choose, I'll choose low instead of high.
Yeah, no, I really agree. What one thing do you like and one thing you don't like about diabetes?
Okay, what do I like? It taught me compassion, a different outlook on life. And what I don't like is the fact that it is invisible yet invasive.
Yeah, no, great valid points there. What one word would you describe diabetes? If you could just have one word, what would it be?
Tightrope. You know those tight ropes you get in the
Mm.
circus where you need to do your balancing act? Tightrope.
I like that. I've not heard it in that description before. So yeah, I really like that. Yeah, definitely. We definitely have them moments where we're balancing, aren't we, along that tightrope. And just to get to know you, a bit of a funny question is if you were on a diabetes chat desert island, what three things would you take? And all your diabetes stuff is there. That's all inclusive. You don't have to worry about that. But what other three things would you take?
So all diabetes stuff is included. I will then take my husband. I
Yep.
will take my phone to capture all the moments. And I will take a hairpin. I'm actually wearing one, a hairpin, because this can do amazing things. I'm never without one. I'll take a hairpin. Yeah, definitely hairpin.
Well, you never know when you might need it on a desert island. You know,
You
it
never
might come
know.
into good use. Well, thank you so much. That just really gets to quickly get to know you. And now
Sure.
we're gonna sort of delve into your journey because on Diabetes Chat, it's all about hearing people's lived experiences and their journeys living with type 1 diabetes. And could you share with everyone when you were diagnosed, what it was like for you and your family, any symptoms that you had at that time? Did you know anything about diabetes? Like, what happened when you were diagnosed?
Thank you. When I was diagnosed, we knew nothing about diabetes. We didn't. we knew it existed, but that's all we knew about diabetes. And obviously, when the symptoms came along, I had all the classic symptoms of diabetes with the thirst and the urination and feeling tired and losing weight. But I was 16, so we didn't really think it was something serious. I was participating in sport at school. It was very hot, and I came home the one day and I just went straight to my bed, and I stayed in bed for I think 2 days. And my mom brought me food, and I said to her, "I'm not hungry. I'm just so thirsty." And they thought maybe it's heat exhaustion because I was like always running around and busy, and they didn't know me as a person to just be in bed for 2 days. And then I'll wake up, I'll go to the toilet, I'll drink some juice. I chose juice, was my preferred drink, which was obviously a big mistake, but we didn't know that. And my mom will bring me food, and I'll just push the plate away and say, "I'm not hungry, I don't want it." And I kept sleeping in that cycle, waking up, going to the toilet, drinking juice, sleeping around and round and round again. And then I was away from school for about 4 days, and I had to go back to do like a home economics practical exam. And we were wearing civvies that day. We weren't wearing our school uniforms. And my friends saw me. They freaked out by how much weight I've lost. And they actually thought I was anorexic, because as a teenage girl, it is something that is not that uncommon. But I was not anorexic at the time, but it seemed as if I was. And then um, I came home again, and I said to my parents, something is really wrong. And it's not as if they didn't care. They were trying to figure out what's going on with me. But how do you go to the doctor and tell them, "Oh, I'm so thirsty"? Or how do you go to the doctor and tell them, something feels a bit off? You don't know how to, it's not like having a broken leg and saying, "Look, my leg is broken," or vomiting. You can't show it to them. And eventually, we just decided something is seriously wrong, and we had to go to the doctor. And when I got there, my blood sugar was quite high. It was 28 at the time, and just kept going up from there. And I started vomiting on my way back home. And the hospital, they said to my parents, "We need to go to the hospital straight away." And on the way out, I was so thirsty. My dad actually brought me like a soda, more sugar, and he tried to help me. And I was like, "Thank you, Dad." And I'm drinking this Fanta. And it was the final straw. My body couldn't take it anymore. And we came back home. And while they were packing my bags, I just started vomiting, and I couldn't stop. And the hospital actually phoned my parents and said, "Where are you guys? This is quite serious. You need to be here by now." And they took me in, and that is how everything happened.
Wow. Yeah, I can really relate in pretty much most things you say in there. The sort of four T's, having them typical them signs. And I was very similar to you, where I was drinking a lot, and I was drinking milk, which has obviously carbohydrates and sugar. So, and what that's doing to your levels, like you were saying with like the orange juice, like it's quite ironic now to think about and go, "Oh my goodness," like we're obviously, your levels would have been quite scary. But
That was my
yeah.
life, but it almost killed me. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it like then growing up then with type 1 diabetes, and like adjusting your lifestyle as a teenager, and growing up with your family? Like, how supportive were they in them early years, really?
Right from the start, I took all of the management onto myself. When I was in hospital, I was admitted, and I don't even remember being admitted and all the detail that comes with it. And I was in ICU, and after 3 or 4 days, they moved me to the general ward, and I kept asking them, "When can I go home?" And they said, "When you can inject yourself." And I said to them, "You are injecting me. When I leave here, I'm healthy and I'm good to go. So I don't need to know how to inject myself." And then they'll say, "No, you can only go home once you know how to inject yourself." And I keep saying, "Why are you telling me this? You are injecting me.
Yeah.
That's your job. My job is to get better and go back home." And then they said, "But haven't they told you?" And I said, "Haven't they told me what?" And the nurse went out, and she came back with a stack of flyers and pamphlets for me to read. She said, "Read this along. The nurse will be with you later." So when that information came into my hands, I immediately started educating myself without even knowing what was happening. I was actually so excited when my dad came to visit me the evening. I said to him, "Dad, look at this. They gave me this meter to check my glucose, and look at all this information." And I didn't realize how serious it was. I was like, "Okay, I got this." Okay. So right from the start, I decided to gather information and do it. But then when I got home, you you pretend to stay strong because everybody tells you, you are so strong, you are so brave, you're such an inspiration. But once the reality starts to kick in, you realize you're not any of that they were telling you. 2 weeks down the line, I was doing good with injecting myself, and then I just couldn't do it. I will sit with my pen. It's somewhere here now, but I will sit with my insulin pen like this on my leg, and I couldn't get it into my skin. And my mom will come into the room and she'll say, what's wrong? You've been doing so good for the past 2 weeks. But I think once I realized it's for the rest of my life, I just
Yeah.
couldn't fathom the concept of having to do this, not even all the other stuff that came with it. I didn't even know about the stigma or the judgment and the blame. That was nowhere in the picture. Just the fact that I had to do this 5 or 6 times a day for the rest of my life was quite a reality check for me. So my mom, she's a bit set in her ways when it comes to cooking and certain meals she prepares and things like that. So for her, she's got a serving nature. So for her to cook up something nice is a treat to you, and that's her love language. But then she'll cook me food that I'm not supposed to be eating. I can eat it. I know we can eat everything, but obviously you choose healthier options, and then she'll buy pizza for the Friday night to congratulate me on how good I'm doing, and then I'm like, Mom, you're killing me here, okay? That is how it felt to me. And she didn't quite grasp the concept of the dietary requirements that came with it then, okay? So I was 16, so I
Yeah.
took that onto myself. Then I realized when I spoke to people about the concerns I had, they didn't get it. So I kept that to myself. So for a very long time, it was me, myself, and I with my diabetes. My dad tried, and he would drive me to the clinic once a month and everything, but I would go onto the internet, because that's quite a long time ago. So you didn't have like fiber and Wi-Fi and all those things, but we'll have this primitive internet system, and I will log on with the modem ringing at night, 11 o'clock. And I would just try and find any information about diabetes,
Mm,
obviously searching for a
mm,
cure and all those things. But it was it was a strange journey, because how do you explain diabetes to your friends if they're only interested in what to wear, how to brush their hair, what are the boys thinking of them, who's going out with who? And there I'm sitting with, what can I eat? When should I eat it? Why shouldn't I do this 6 times a day? Will I ever see 60? How all those things. So it
yeah.
literally became two worlds, and they tried to support me. And I didn't really let them in, but it must have been difficult for them as well.
There's so much like on our shoulders, isn't there? Like responsibility, living with type 1 diabetes, like you've sort of alluded to, Lorena, is that there's no on-off button. It's there 24/7, and this is a lifelong condition until a day when hopefully it's not, maybe, but that's another long discussion another time. But I guess through your own lived experiences, then you've touched upon there about education, awareness, all them sort of things. Is this, and we're going to go on to your advocacy and another bit shortly, but through your lived experiences, has this really motivated you to want to help the community, the wider community? When I say like schools and parents and general public, through your own experiences of maybe not having the right information and you having to find stuff, did that really inspire you to want to help others?
Absolutely, yes. I never thought I'll be able to help people, because I felt lost for a very long time. And there was a time, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, where one day everything was just too much for me. Life was busy. My dog just died. Our daughter was in hospital, and I had to manage all these things while working, and my husband was out of town. And I just couldn't deal with all of this. And then the cherry on top of the cake, the diabetes, because it takes a lot out of you to manage your own situation and then all the external factors as well. And my husband came back from a trip. And as he walked into the kitchen, I sat by the table and I was crying. And he said to me, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I cannot have diabetes today. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I'll do all the other things. I'll manage the dog and the daughter and everything, but the diabetes on top of it, that's just too much." And I realized I was in a burnout phase and I didn't know how to get out of it. I didn't even know there was a name for what I was feeling. I didn't know diabetes burnout was a thing. And I went to social media to try and find inspirational content about diabetes or about chronic conditions, but specifically type 1 diabetes. And I couldn't find things. I'll look at videos, but then I'll just feel more depressed afterwards. It wasn't uplifting me in any way. And then I thought to myself, okay, but if this is how I'm feeling, there must be more people feeling the exact same way. And I started joining Facebook groups and other social media platforms. And I just sat there. I was lurking in the background just to see what people were talking about. And I could see the things they were writing was as if it came from my heart. I didn't say a word at first. Obviously, there was good things as well popping up, but I was specifically looking for something to make me feel better. And then later on, I started commenting on people's posts and stuff like that, and it felt so awkward. I thought, okay, maybe I should delete my comments. They don't want to know from me. What does my opinion matter to anyone? And then people started to enjoy it and comment on it because I have a positive nature. So for me to be negative or depressed, I don't even know how to acknowledge it sometimes because it's just not part of who I am. And my husband as well. You'll know, we are positive, uplifting people naturally. So it was very strange for me to acknowledge that I'm in a dark space and then to be able to talk to other people about it. And that is where my love for it started because I could see just having conversations about things. They can't fix my problems. They can't do anything, but just having someone tell you, I know how you feel. You're not alone in this. Because my husband, he is super supportive. We've been married for 21 years and he's been there ever since, but he doesn't have diabetes on the inside. He lives with it on the outside with my reflection, but I have it on the inside. So I can't expect him to understand what I'm doing or feeling or whatever. And that is where the community helped me. And that is where my love for it started. And then I started thinking, okay, I'm a photographer. I know about videography. So maybe I should start creating content to share with people and to fill that gap that I'm experiencing. And then I started doing it. And the first video, I was so embarrassed to post it. I didn't want to show it to anyone. And then I thought to myself, no, just do it. If they throw you with tomatoes on social media, just delete it again. Just give it a try. And it worked. So from there on, obviously, it fueled the fire to keep going with the concept.
No, that's incredible, isn't it? I think it's so lovely to pay it forward and share
Yes,
your
yes,
experiences and then hear the community then comment and share their thoughts and their
yeah,
experiences and to really just normalize living with the condition. It's like yourself. I think you probably feel like you're the only person in the world living with this condition and you don't really know anyone, but when you do
yeah.
really reach out to community, it's brilliant, isn't it? So you obviously started your YouTube channel and content. What sort of content did you do? So I've been doing a bit of research and looking around. So you did some different songs and different things as well, and a story recently. Like what content did you do, and what was the messaging in all this sort of content you were doing? What did you want the person on the other side to get out of what you were doing?
At first, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just creating like videos to get information out or get my emotions off my chest. And then I realized, but so many people actually want to do the same, but they don't know how, or how do you make a video if you don't even have a YouTube channel? Where do you put it on? And then I changed the direction a bit and I started involving the community as well. So if I do a video about the ABCs of diabetes, I will ask people living with diabetes to do certain things and then I'll stitch it all together into the videos. And that was quite nice because you get people from all over the world participating. And in the end, whether I stay in South Africa or you stay in America or wherever you are, we have the same feelings about diabetes. Our management maybe is different because of the tech and stuff that we use or the accessibility that we have. But by incorporating the community, an 8-year-old boy in our local township features in the video, and then he sees a girl in India 2 or 3 years older than him, or you see a 60-year-old person wherever in the world. And by doing that, they feel understood and they feel part of the community, whether they are featuring on that screen for 3 seconds. And it inspires us looking at it to see, look at all these people. As a 3-year-old boy, it inspires me, even though I'm 42 and I've been in this on this journey 25 years. Seeing him do
Yeah.
this, they
Yeah.
keep on keeping on. That inspires me. But then I look at a gentleman who's 80 years old, who's been living with type 1 diabetes 70 of his 80 years. And I think to myself, this guy has stories to tell. I'm not even opening my mouth again, ever. And that inspires me. So by bringing people together, the stories, just the faces, that is an amazing thing, because without knowing, it's just creating a beautiful network where people want to be part of it. And all my videos are uplifting, and even if it starts with a negative, it will always end in a positive, because we can't pretend there's no negativity about diabetes. We can't pretend we're always in range and we're always following the right diet and things like that. It's not it doesn't work like that. So my goal is to inspire people and to make them feel good. And by watching a video of 3 minutes, if that can help, then I'm happy.
Definitely, and we'll definitely signpost in this video and in our pages and YouTube. We'll definitely signpost to your amazing resources and videos. So please, guys, go check them out. So let's talk about the education game tool that you've created, which I'm really excited about. And I got to see it firsthand last year at ISPAD, which was fantastic, and that's where I got to meet you and Star and your husband. And we'll talk about the dedoc community in a short while, about peer support and community a bit more. But please show, you're going to do a live demonstration for us today, and we're going to hopefully have a little play around. So what have you created? Why have you created it? And who it's for? They're my first 3 questions, and I'm sure we'll have lots of other discussions in a minute as well. Over to you.
How much time do we have? I created this. I was doing an advocacy course in South Africa. I was a student in the course, and then they said you had to come up with creative ideas to do advocacy work. And I thought to myself, oh, I need to come up with something. And suddenly, this game just popped into my head. We all pretty much know this from school. I think it's a global thing, because whenever I take it out, people are familiar with it. So I created this to teach people about the warning signs of either diabetes in general or the warning signs of low blood sugar. So my main thing is I want to create more comfortable environments for people living with diabetes, because that is an area where I always felt a shortage in school, or if I go to a family event, there's always, oh, here's Lurina and she has diabetes. That was basically, or if you come in, I've heard people say to one another, oh, is she the diabetic? And I'm like, of all the things you can talk behind my back, is there anything else? Oh, is she the teenage girl who does well in school, or is she the athlete, or is she the great photographer? But oh, is she the diabetic? And I'm like, really, guys? So obviously that happens in places everywhere, in workplace or wherever you are. So I thought of finding a creative way to teach people about diabetes, because there's so many lectures and so many long YouTube videos, but do you ever really click on those videos, and do you remember the information that is sent to you? And because I work a lot in schools, I had to find something where I can engage with the children, and that is obviously the age that I work with are from 6 to 12, but literally all ages. I did a talk to 4-year-olds, but they are so tiny, you don't know how to talk with them. They can't read, so you can't use the game on them. So then you take a doll along to try and explain, but they don't care about the pancreas and hormones and they don't care. So you have to break it down. So my main focus area is from 6, where they can read already, and then I use the game. I will go to schools where there are children living with diabetes in the school. So the parents of the school will contact me, or I will find out and I will go to the school. And then I do a quick talk about diabetes, but usually the child will come and stand with me. And for that moment, the child is the hero in the classroom. And then I will open the floor by saying, you guys know anything about diabetes? And then they'll point to the child or they'll raise their hands or they will say, yes, my grandfather had diabetes, but he died. Oh, and then it's a whole new opening up a can of worms. So I want to know what they know. That is why I popped the question, but then I need to manage it accordingly. Otherwise, they're all just going to think we're going to get diabetes and we're going to die in the end. So you need to manage it in a very sensitive manner. And then I will ask silly questions about health and life, and then just to see what they know, because they know what their parents tell them. And if the parents tell them at home, oh, that child has diabetes because you must eat your food, he ate too many sweets, obviously that is what they're going to believe, and that is what they bring back to school again. So we need to crush the stigma and all those misconceptions. So we handle all those things, and then I can do a quick round to explain how the game works if you want to. This
Yeah,
one
yeah.
is this one is the warning signs of diabetes, but this one is the warning signs of low blood sugar. So how this works is you pick a word. I'm not sure if you can see.
Okay, so let's go for juice, because you've mentioned juice a few times today. Let's go for
Okay. This
juice.
is the main attraction today. So whatever word you pick here is you need to spell it out. So because they are in a phase of their school where they learn to spell and write and things like that, they will always do it with me. So then you spell Juice. Let me just get this into the camera right. Uh, it's the wrong way around. There we go. Juice, and then you need to pick a number.
Oh, let's go for number 7.
Okay, why are you making it so difficult for me? Then you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you pick another number.
Let's go number 1. Make it easier.
Okay, sorry, I'm struggling with this backside thing. And then when you open number 1, behind each number there is a warning sign for low blood sugar. So in a
Yeah.
fun way, we teach the kids the warning signs of low blood sugar in the classroom, and for them to know how to recognize it. And if they see a friend suddenly on his arms or sitting in the corner, not engaging, or just showing different signs, then they need to be able to put up their hands and call a teacher or ask a friend, listen, yeah, are you okay? Is your blood sugar maybe low? Because in the end, you can save a life by knowing the symptoms of low blood sugar. So then each child receives one of these games and they play it in the classroom. The teachers always allow some time for them to play, and then they take it out in break time and they play with their friends, and then they take it home and they play it with the brothers and the sisters and the parents. And in a fun way, we infiltrate into the households with the word diabetes. Nobody ever wanted to say cancer out loud. Now they don't want to say diabetes out loud. So by seeing it like this in a toy form, if I can put it like that, they're just more open to talk about it. And my contact details is inside, so if they have questions, they can ask me. But it's also important to make sure everybody's got the same information. So I usually try to give it to everyone around this child, that they're all on the same page. And then I also tell them, you must thank your friend for this, because it's thanks to him that you got this today. But they're so excited because I have different sizes. This is the demo one I use with medical students and healthcare, but then the tiny ones are for the little kitty hands to use a bit easier like this. And then I have a giant one that I take out, like it's big. So it's like, I always say, it's like taking your puppy to school. Everybody wants to touch it and play with it. And they are just, when I leave, they are excited about diabetes. Then I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. And then they have the courage to come to me and ask questions, or teachers will come around and talk to me. And that is what I want, because for the next 5 or 7 years, this child is going to be in the school, surrounded by the same children, the same teachers. They need to know what's happening, what to do with the low, and not be intimidated by it.
I think it's absolutely amazing. It's such a
And
fantastic educational tool that is so fun, and it's getting so many of them key messages across, that raising that awareness, and in this particular game, looking at the signs and symptoms, and it's doing it in a fun context rather than watching a long video or lots of PDF posters or things like that. And I'm not saying they're not good, because there
yeah,
are
of course,
obviously
there's
a
a
lot of
place
good
for that
stuff
as
out there.
well. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course, but I think with this, it brings that practical element of a sort of facilitated discussions, and people sort of talking about it, and asking them questions, and it's a fantastic tool that people can do, and for all ages really, and I think it's so important for for everyone to know awareness about diabetes, and like you said, Lurina, it addresses so many other layers in the game. So it's addressing any stigma, any misconceptions,
Yeah.
all them sort of things that are so important, because then you can have that chat about it. Then if someone sees something, and then they can ask that question, and you know and hopefully they go home and, like you say, share
Yeah.
it with their wider family or friends, and you know um really helps people. So I think, I take my hat off to you, and we were speaking offline early in the week, weren't we? And you said
Yeah.
now you're taking it to the next level, really, to try and allow this fantastic education tool game to go across the country, like globally, so that people can access it and use it. So do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. It's been a while that I've been struggling with the concept of having it available anywhere and everywhere at any time. So every time I take it out, people get excited. Like when at ISPAD or at a conference, wherever, when I take it out, everybody wants to take it home with them, but I can't travel with 1,000 games in my backpack. Um, and it's just difficult. I can't do demos everywhere I go. So how do you do it? So another friend guided me to get it onto an online platform where it can be downloaded at any time wherever you are in the world. So it actually launched today, um, where it will be available whenever you want to print it. I don't know how to put it, how to explain it. So basically you will log onto a website and you will come onto the screen where you can choose which game you want to download, whether it's the low blood sugar one or the general warning signs. I'm busy creating more, one about stigma or one about how to support someone living with diabetes, because the sky's the limit. We can put any information in this or focus on any topic, mental health, fun ways to exercise, whatever we want to get across, we can put into this game. So then you will click on the screen and you will click download, and then you will download the design of the game as you see it here. But you'll also get a tutorial on how to fold it, because that is a big question. What do I do once I have it in my hand? Because there's a certain way that you need to fold it. But I have a demo video of that. And then there's a video explaining how to play with it, like I did now. It's just more in the screen than what it was now because I was struggling here with the camera. There's also an instruction sheet of how to actually play the game. But if you Google
Yeah.
how to play the Quacker game, it's called a Quacker. Way back when I was in school, we would always play with this, and then we'll put the names of all the cute guys on the inside. I think I've told you this before. You'll put the names of all the cute guys on the inside, and then you will play around, and the name you land on, that will be your future husband. But that is not how I met my husband. I just want to clear the air about that.
I love it. I love how it brings that primary school game back to life in 2025. I remember playing them games back in my childhood. So yeah, honestly, I think it's a fantastic education tool and fun. It's informative. It can be done for all ages. Adults can play. I really enjoyed it. I can see anyone really using this, downloading it, and we'll put all the links in the bios and all that sort of stuff, so that you guys can go check it out. I just think it's fantastic. It's a brilliant awareness tool. It's educational. It's for everyone. So it's very inclusive. And you've talked about future potential ideas as well. So I just think it's amazing. Well done. Honestly, well done to you. And we'll share it out. So leading on to our next session tonight is about peer support and sort of mental health, which you touched upon, and advocacy work. Is what does peer support mean to you, Lorena? And what sort of communities have you been part of over the years of living with Type 1?
I never realized peer support was important. And that was part of my journey when I said I went through my burnout phase, because I never shared my journey with everyone. I isolated myself. And once I started talking about my diabetes, it opened a whole new world for me, knowing there's more people going through the same things. But it took me I never really realized I wasn't 100% at peace with my life with diabetes. And I was living with it for 20 years when I um, opened up about it. And
Yeah.
I'm mad at myself for taking 20 years. How do you say out loud, it took me 20 years to accept the fact that I'm living with diabetes? It's like, what's wrong with you guys? That is what you want to say. How did that
Can,
happen? I
can,
didn't
can I ask
realize that.
you, can I ask you why? Like, because I'm very, very similar, because I've been living with type 1 for 18 years, and for
Yeah.
15 years, I was very similar. I didn't talk about it. I hid away from it. I was embarrassed. Like, was there any particular reason why you didn't maybe talk about it? Was it because of the lack of awareness or stigma? Obviously, that's then maybe
Mm.
helped with the journey you've just talked about. But was there a particular reason, or was it just it wasn't right for you in that moment? And that's okay if you feel you don't want to do
Yeah.
it. I've been on that journey myself. Or was it other things? Like for me, one of the biggest things for me was going on to Libra. I'm on Dexcom now, but going on
Mm.
to Libra just changed my perspective of how I feel about diabetes, how I manage my
Yeah.
diabetes. Like, was there any reason why you maybe like didn't maybe reach out, or I guess you didn't know because you didn't know about these things?
Yes, I think it's an important question because I think a lot of people struggle with this. I Sometimes I keep to myself because of the stigma and the judgment and the blame, because people don't realize the difference between type 1 and type 2 and the other types of diabetes. And so many times when I had the courage to say I live with diabetes, the way people would respond and react around you, I kind of got a bit tired about that. But maybe it was also because of what I was reflecting. I don't even know. But because I'm a positive person, I'm also not one to complain all the time. So I don't want to put my burden onto the people around me all the time. My family is supportive, so we talk about it openly anytime now, and they'll try to accommodate me as well when there's parties and things like that. But for a very long time, I didn't really realize it was an option to even talk about it because I didn't know anyone else. And
Yeah,
literally, when I found social media, I figured there's a whole world out there of people living with diabetes. I literally thought I was the only one. I knew I wasn't the only one, but that's how it felt to me. So
yeah,
why do I keep talking about it? Where do I even go to? Um, I was just on my own little island, and I'm really mad at myself for taking so long to realize the mistake I was making. But I didn't know any better. Literally, I didn't know any better. Diabetes in South Africa, only the past, I want to say, 4 years maybe, it's been in the spotlight. Or maybe it's just because I'm now part of it that I'm starting to see it and I
see
feel
it.
there's a spotlight on it. But I just didn't pay any attention to the fact that there's a whole country of other people living with the same thing, because I never stumbled into any other people living with type 1 diabetes. And the moment you start talking about diabetes, it's always type 2 and they compare you and all of those things. And I just, I didn't like it. So I said to my husband as well, if we get to a party or a function, you don't tell people I live with diabetes. Because let's say I'm eating that cupcake or my blood sugar is low and I'm having the slice of tart or whatever. The first thing they say is, can you have that? You know, you shouldn't be eating that, all those things. Actually, I was in a shop 2 days ago and my sensor was clearly visible. And the lady, I was buying cake for my mom. She's in hospital, so I wanted to buy her a nice treat. It's not even for myself. And the lady behind me said, is that cake diabetic friendly? That was her words in our language, Afrikaans. She said, is that cake diabetic friendly? And I turned around and I thought to myself, I must pick my words very carefully now because, first of all, that is not how you introduce yourself to someone if you want to comment. And you don't know
Yeah,
anything about me. What if I want this cake now, or whatever the reason is why I'm buying cake? But the judgment that came with it. But I was never strong enough to stand up for that or against it, and it was because I thought I didn't know enough. So I was always intimidated by comments and people thinking things and saying things, until I found a community where I could see people standing up for themselves. And it's okay to raise your voice, and it's okay to put things into perspective. You can say what you mean, but you don't have to say it mean. And there's ways of handling a situation. I always say the way people respond to us living with diabetes is we have a very big responsibility, because if we are always complaining or always saying, oh, I'm running high or I'm out of control, but we are causing it on ourselves all the time, we are not a good um, showroom for what life with diabetes is all about. So I get that people don't understand it, but the fact that there's always some stab in the things people are saying, I think my heart was maybe just stabbed to death. I don't know. I didn't know how to stand up and advocate. I didn't know how
Mm,
to. And by turning social media and finding a community and engaging with other people and going to conferences, it opened a whole new world for me. I feel understood. I feel seen. I'm not scared of my own voice anymore. And I know I'm making a difference, because people reach out to me and they will say, you're so brave to tell your story or to talk about this openly. Thank you so much. I don't have the courage to do it. And then I click. But that was me a few years ago. And that was me for 20 years. So
yeah,
I wish I found this happy place earlier in my life.
definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of us would probably resonate with that. But it's better to be late to the party than never attend the party at all. You know,
Yeah.
it's better that we have eventually found this amazing communities, and allowed
Mm,
us to like grow and have that voice and feel, we're not frightened to, talk about it
yeah.
or educate people in situations like you've just mentioned when that person's saying that sort of thing. Um, it's so sad to hear in it's still in this day 2025 you're hearing these things are still
Mm,
happening, and there's so many fantastic things that are happening behind the scenes with the end diabetes stigma
yeah.
campaign with Renza and
Yes.
Jay Spate and all the fantastic people amongst the community. So yeah, I'm so happy to see that you did get into the community, because it just it's a weight off your shoulders, isn't it? You feel you can breathe and really you can talk to other people that really get it. Like you mentioned before, your husband, he lives with you living with type 1 diabetes. He doesn't get how you feel day in day out, the sort of feelings and when you're low and stuff like that. He sees it from a different element,
Mm,
which is still very important. But we who are living with the condition, we really get it 24/7. We know
yeah.
what you're going through. But yeah, honestly, and dedoc then. So you got two lovely
Yes.
badges on your t-shirt.
Try and
So
come close.
let's start with DDoc, because DDoc is the top badge. Tell us
Yes.
a little bit about DDoc and your involvement in the diabetes community. DDoc. What is DDoc and what's your involvement?
Sure. DDoc is the largest online diabetes platform for people living with diabetes by people living with diabetes. That was a mouthful for me to grasp at first, but I think I have it under my tongue has it under control now. So I am one of the DDoc voices, just like you are, Tom. You are one of the DDoc voices, and just a quick backstory. Last year, Tom and I both attended the ISPAD conference in Lisbon, and
Hmm.
basically it's a process that you go through to apply for a scholarship, and then they ask you some questions and you need to obviously explain why you would like to be there. But what I love about DDoc is the core principles that they stand for, and one is the paid forward concept, where um, whatever we learn at the conferences or whatever we learn from DDoc and the symposiums, we can't just keep it to ourselves, because how is that helping anyone then? So the whole concept of paid forward is to whatever you get, give it back to your community, take it back to your country, take it back to your crowds, and take it back to your household, and teach them what you've been taught. And they've got other principles as well. And you will always see the hashtags, nothing about us without us, and we are not waiting. But the pay it forward concept, we try to live by that in any case in our lives. It's a very, what's the opposite of selfish? Unselfish, is that the right word in English? It's a very
Yeah,
unselfish way to outlook to have in life. And for me to be part of the DDoc community, it's one of the highlights of life with diabetes. They always say, tell me one good thing about diabetes. And you also asked me earlier, and it's easy to say community, but community have many different faces. And what I've seen from DDoc, I've been around with them for about 2 years now.
Mhm.
The amount of progress I've seen in the 2 years that I've been participating and following, I'm amazed by the work they do. And in the end, it's not for themselves. Well, because we're all part of it, it's not for ourselves. But I've never stumbled upon one person in the DDoc community who's doing this for personal gain. And that
Yeah.
is a massive thing to be applauded, because a lot of people are doing advocacy not for, for the right reasons. But the way DDoc operates, I'm so proud of them. And whenever I do a talk, I'm always wearing my badge. And then people are like, what's this badge? What is this hashtag thingy that you're wearing? And then you try to explain. And they're like, how is this even possible? So how does this work? And then I'll share the website and things like that. It brought us together. And I know we had good conversations over there. And I've made great friends in the 2 years.
Yeah.
I've made amazing friends. And never once, like I spoke about the stigma and the blame and the shame that we spoke about earlier, I've never for 1 second felt judged by anyone
No.
in the DL community. Never. But if
No.
I walk into the shop and buy cake for my mom, a stranger hits me with an inappropriate sentence, I think the DDoc community can teach the rest of the world so much.
I totally agree. It's such a fantastic community, like you say, enabling people living with all types of diabetes to go to these scientific conferences and to learn and bring
Mm.
it back to their own countries, the DDoc voices across all the world, all across around the world. I think there's over 400 voices, isn't there? So it's
Yes.
fantastic. And so it's that element of going to these conferences
Yeah.
and being part of the conversation, sitting round the table, being heard, having that, we're not hidden in back rooms. We're there, right, first row, and we're there, and we're able to
Yeah.
amplify our voices and network and learn um, and connect with the diabetes specialists, but also people, like that's another fantastic thing. And when you go away from the conference is there's WhatsApp groups, like you say, you may
Yeah.
keep in contact with certain people. It's that friendship, it's that community. And I will always love when you go to these events the peer element as well. Like they
Mm.
have like the DDoc dinner or different evenings, different things on, and it's just like connecting with people who really get it. And and you sit around the room when we did the DDoc dinner, and there was probably about 30 of us as including the staff, and
Yeah.
Tom's from UK, Lurina's from South Africa. Literally everyone from different part of the
Yeah.
world, and it's just like wow, like
I know.
I just love it, and it's
It's,
great.
I didn't even mention, you mentioned now the fact that they take us to these scientific conferences. I'll never be able to attend a conference in my own capacity.
Mm.
And giving us a seat at the table, as you said, in the front row, where they share all the research and all the scientific information and the innovation. But we are there to raise our hands and pop a question or to give some feedback. It's not something they get in an email. They see the person, they feel what you are saying. And just that, hearing it and to be part of it, that is absolutely priceless.
Yeah, like you say, nothing about us without us. We right center in the whole picture here, you know what I
Mm.
mean, being part of it. So yeah, please guys, I'll put in the bio and stuff, the link to DDoc. Please go have a look and check out all the past recordings of the symposia. Look at how to be a DDoc voice. We, Lorene and I, and many, probably every DDoc voice will say go have a look, go apply, because it's such a fantastic opportunity to learn and network and meet peers across the world. But before we finish about the other advocacy work, just finally on dedoc, is you actually spoke at the dedoc symposium yourself last year, or was it this year? Early this year?
It was
Was it
this
early?
year at the IDF World Diabetes Congress in Thailand. Yes, it was there.
And what was your talk about? Because I have seen it, but just to give everyone a bit of a flavour, what did you talk about? And I loved how you had all them layers of clothes. And can you explain that sort of
Sure.
concept with the community here? Because I think it's great.
Thank you. I'm actually in the process of writing a new script for that and putting a video on YouTube about that. What I did is, usually it's not a interactive talk like that when they do the symposiums, but I had my whole wardrobe there, and I started by explaining that every time somebody says something that is hurtful or shameful, it's like putting on a layer of clothes that they put onto you. So if I had clothes here now, I would have demonstrated it. But every time when somebody, let's say you with your doctor, and the doctor said, why is your time in range not so good? You'll put on a t-shirt. Why are you not doing this right? You'll put on another layer of clothes. If your friend tells you you've been diabetic so long, you are still not managing it well, you'll put on another layer of clothes. And to demonstrate that, I put on all these clothes and glasses and a hat and everything. But in the end, basically what it came down to is it shows that you become invisible to the world around you, because they or unrecognizable actually to yourself and to the people around you, because you can't function, because with all these layers of clothes you are stuck like a little snowman with these thick little arms. And then that is how you are seen by others and by yourself, because all these layers just covers up who you actually are. And then to reverse that, it's having the right approach towards people living with diabetes. Instead of saying why is your time in range not good, rather saying how can I help you to work on a more satisfying time in range. Basic things that we can say, just to support instead of shame people. And then by doing that, by giving examples of ways to support and help people, I took off the layers again. And in the end, the message that came across was all this negativity and the guilt and things, it disguises us and it changes us and it makes us stuck in a way. And by removing that, or just having a different approach and taking off the layers, I could be myself again. I could see myself again. Others could see me as me, and I could function again. So I think it worked well because it was interactive and people could relate to it. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to make it evolve a bit more and to actually put it out there, because I think a lot of people will be able to relate with the visual of it.
Yeah, no, I think the visual representation was fantastic. People could really sort of start to feel what it is, kind of maybe living with diabetes, and how we sort of feel the emotions. And mental health is so important in life, but diabetes, it takes it to that next level. So having the right support network with the right people saying the right things to be supportive, it really really helps. And yeah, please guys go check out that video. I'll put a link in the chat for you guys afterwards. And just to sort of finish the peer support section, you've got your second badge. What is that one?
Oh, this one says SA Diabetes Advocate. So we have an organization in South Africa, SA Diabetes Advocacy, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes. At the moment, they're working on a CGM accessibility petition to have CGMs available for children under the age of 18 in the public sector, to try and get availability for that, because in South Africa, it's not something that is just handed out to anyone or everyone. And whenever there's a great concern about diabetes, they will work behind the scenes and do miraculous things to try and change policies and to really make a difference within the network of diabetes in South Africa. And they also offer a course, the SA Diabetes Advocacy course, and I facilitate the courses for them. We take turns, and then I just love that because once a week we get together, online meeting, and I'll facilitate it. And it's people from all walk of life. A dad with an 8-year-old son, staying, let's say, in Cape Town. A dietitian staying 1,000 kilometers away. Then a researcher doing research in diabetes. So you never know what you're going to get. I literally get an email saying this is the dates, this is the login, and we'll see you there. So once I'm in the room like we are now, I have no idea who's in front of me. So I need to orchestrate it that everybody gets to say what they want to say within the right time periods, and create a platform. We all have different references and preferences, and we need to keep it uplifted and not bash one another or the healthcare industry or anything, because there are people from the healthcare industry in these courses, and I'm excited to be part of them. And also, I see how they are growing, and I see the change they are bringing in our country. And people always say stuff like, "We've been waiting for a cure. They said 5 years, nothing's happening." And the same with what we are doing with advocacy. People will say, "Yeah, but we're waiting so long, we haven't seen any change." But with SA Diabetes Advocacy, I can see the change, and that really
Mhm.
excites me.
No, that's absolutely incredible. So please keep up all the amazing work that you and your peers and everyone in that group are doing. You're hopefully shaping the future, a better future for diabetes
So,
care and management for everyone. Us living with the condition, but families and everyone, and for future people who could get diagnosed in the future. So you're making that huge impact. Hopefully, it may feel at times it's small steps, but it's hopefully the bigger picture over time things will continue to improve. So amazing, fantastic, Lurina. Just to finish tonight, a couple of things is where can people follow you on sort of social media, your website, to go check out your content? Where can people go check out that?
sure, I do have a YouTube channel, The Glucose Glitch, but I'm not that much on YouTube because that's mainly for the videos I create. I load them there, but I don't share like, "Hi guys, I'm here again today." I'm not that type of social media person, but I do have my Instagram account, which is the most active one, and there I post Monday to Friday. I share my life there. Sometimes the highs, sometimes the lows, sometimes just some quirky stuff or whatever is happening in my world around diabetes. I'll put it on there. I see diabetes in everything. So if I go, I went to the shop 2 days ago, over the weekend, and there was these great donuts and they had blue polka dots on them. So I'm thinking, is this for diabetes awareness? Because having a donut with blue polka dots, it's a bit of a contradicting situation that I'm looking at here. So my mind is always focused on diabetes and what's happening. And you will find all of those silly little things on there as well. I do have TikTok, but I don't think I'm the world's best TikToker out there. So rather stick with, I'm on LinkedIn as well, but rather go to um, Instagram.
Yeah,
They
go
will,
to
that's the
Instagram.
most latest and the most active side of me.
Definitely, guys. We'll put the links and everything again in the chat as well.
Okay.
Honestly, thank you so much. This is our first guest speaker chat for Diabetes Chat in November for Diabetes Awareness Month. Today is the 10th of November, and this coming Thursday, it is Thursday. Let me just double check my calendar. Yes, no,
14.
it's Friday, isn't it? Friday the 14th is World Diabetes Day. I lost a day there.
Mhm.
So happy Diabetes Day to you, Lurina, and everyone in the diabetes community across the whole world. And finally, sort of, what final message would you give to anyone that's watching now, or what final advice would you just give to anyone in any time at any moment living with diabetes? What would you say to them?
Way back, my doctor once said to me, diabetes is not a sprint race, it's a marathon. And I was so disgusted by what she said to me. I thought to myself, I am not an athlete. I don't want to run a marathon. I don't agree with you. But after the words stayed in my system for a while, I realized she was 100% right. Diabetes is not a sprint race. You can try and run it as quick and fast as possible, but you're not going to get anywhere. So I know it's a bit of a cliche to say something like that. It's not a sprint race, it's a marathon, but in the end, it is. And there will be uphills, there will be downhills, there will be thorns on the road, and your shoe will hurt you every now and then and things like that. But keep going, because besides the fact that you didn't really have a choice, you're doing this for yourself in the end. And yes, we didn't ask to have to live with diabetes. It's no one's choice. But everybody's got problems, and some people have marriage problems, some people have other health problems, financial problems, whatever problems they have, they live with it, because we don't really have a choice in life, but how we respond to it and how we feel about it and what we say about it makes a big difference on how we actually live with it in the end. For a very long time, I didn't say it, but I thought it, and I thought to myself, how will I ever grow old if I live with diabetes? And then I had to change that, because first of all, I was saying or thinking it of myself, how will I ever see 60? How will I ever see 40? But here I am, 42, and I was thinking that for, let's say, 10 years. I wasted my thoughts on negativity for 10 years, and it didn't bring me any good. Maybe that's part of the reason why I kept my mouth shut about my diabetes. The moment you can find positive ways to look at the negative, that where they say make your test your testimony, it will change the people around you. It will change you. It will change how you manage your diabetes, and you will be a light for yourself and everyone around
Yeah.
you.
I think that's absolutely incredible. Yeah. And I actually feel now, it's probably took me, like you say, 15 years to realize this, but I think living with the condition now in this moment I'm in is, I think it's made me a better person. I'm more resilient, I'm more wanting to really, really help,
Yeah,
people. So it's kind of, and everyone's so different. People have their own thoughts and journeys, and, but I feel it's my sort of superpower in this moment that I feel I can help
yeah,
people, but also that helps me, because I think a lot of the time we always want to help other people and we think about other people, and I think that's a natural thing that we do. But I think it's so important that we do have that self-care and love for ourselves, and we look after ourselves, because you can't really help other people if we're not in the mindset ourselves. Or I've definitely learned that at times the hard way, I guess. But I think self-care is so important. Honestly, thank you so much tonight for joining us here on Diabetes Chat. You're a fantastic person. I look forward to catching up again. Hopefully we'll cross paths in the next couple of years somewhere. And do another sing along, because one memory I will always cherish is having a night out in Lisbon and coming back. I think you and Stein said you were going to have an early night, and you
yeah,
decided you went back to the hotel, and I think I came back a couple hours later, and the next minute you're in the reception bar,
yeah.
strumming the guitar, and we had a few old sing songs. But yeah, I'll always cherish
That was
that.
fun. With
Well,
dedoc,
tonight's
there's
been
no
fun.
early night.
Well, tonight's been fun. It's been very informative, very educational, something very close to my heart about raising that awareness and educating people in workplaces, in schools, in general public. And I think you're a fantastic person, a fantastic advocate, and keep up the great work. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Tom. I love this platform, and thank you for making me part of it. And all the best for the road forward. And happy World Diabetes Day for you too.
Happy World Diabetes Day to you. See you guys. Bye bye.